A woman washing her face in a Bangkok hotel looked up and saw a stranger's face in the mirror right next to hers. But when she turned around, no one was there. That was just the beginning of what happened to her and her friends at this famous budget hotel that tourists book every single day. What are the warning signs you should never ignore when checking into a hotel in Asia? This actually happened to a group of friends in Bangkok, Thailand. Just a few years ago, Sarah and her three best friends had saved up for months for this trip. They wanted to see the temples, eat street food, and shop at the big markets. When they found a cheap hotel right by the train station, they were so happy. The price was perfect. The location was great. They booked it right away. Sarah walked into the lobby on that first afternoon and stopped. As everything was covered in dim orange lights. Not bright yellow lights like most hotels. Dark orange, like a sunset that was almost gone. Even though the sun was still shining outside, the lobby looked like nighttime. The furniture was old and worn. The carpet had dark stains. The whole place smelled like dust and old cigarettes. "This place is ancient," Maya whispered. Sarah's other friends, Jenny and Mike, were already at the front desk. The man there told them they were lucky. Only 2 rooms left, both on the 6th floor at the very end of the hall. They rode the elevator up. The walls inside were covered in that same orange light. Sarah felt her stomach twist a little. Something felt wrong, but she couldn't say what. They were just tired from the long flight, she told herself. Just tired and hungry. When they got to the 6th floor, the hallway stretched out long and dark in front of them. More orange lights. The carpet was so old it was almost gray. Sarah and Maya got room 614. It was the very last door on the left, tucked in the corner. Jenny and Mike got room 612 right next to them. Sarah pushed the door open. A thick, dusty smell poured out. It smelled like no one had opened that door in months. But there was a cleaning car right outside in the hall. The room should smell like soap and fresh towels. Instead, it smelled like a closed-up basement. "That's weird," Maya said. She stepped inside and stopped. "Do you feel that?" Sarah felt it too. It was like walking into a strong wind, like something was pushing against her chest. But the air wasn't moving at all. The room was completely still. "It's just stuffy," Sarah said. She tried to sound normal. "All the buildings are like this." They turned on all the lights. The room looked okay. 2 beds with faded covers, a small TV, a bathroom with chipped tiles. Nothing seemed wrong, but that feeling stayed. That pressure in the air, that sense that something was watching them. They dropped their bags and headed out. Bangkok was waiting. They had shopping to do and food to eat. They pushed the weird feelings away and left. But the room was waiting for them to come back. They came back after midnight, arms full of used shopping bags and bellies full of pad thai. Sarah was so tired her legs felt like rubber. All she wanted was to shower and sleep. Maya was already half asleep on her feet. Sarah grabbed her toothbrush and headed to the bathroom. The orange light in there was even dimmer than the bedroom. Just one small bulb above the mirror. Although she could barely see her own face. She turned on the water and splashed her cheeks. The water was cold and it felt good after the hot Bangkok night. She pumped the soap onto her hands and scrubbed her face. Eyes closed, she rubbed in circles. The soap smelled like cheap chemicals. She rinsed it off, grabbed the scratchy towel and dried her face hard. Then she opened her eyes and looked up at the mirror. A man's face stared back at her, right next to her own face. So close she could see the shadows under his eyes. He was looking right at her. Sarah gasped and spun around. Her heart jumped into her throat. The bathroom was empty. Just the toilet, the sink, the shower, no one else. She looked back at the mirror. Only her own face now. White and scared. Her hands started shaking. "You're just tired," she whispered to herself. Just really tired. But she knew what she saw. That face had been real. She could still picture it. Dark hair, dark eyes, staring. She didn't tell Maya she didn't want to scare her. They both climbed into their beds and turned off the lights. Sarah lay there staring at the ceiling. The orange light from outside seeped through the curtains. She couldn't stop thinking about that face. Just as she started to fall asleep, she heard it. A soft sound from the bathroom, like someone crying. Quiet and sad. It lasted just a few seconds, then stopped. Sarah held her breath and listened. Nothing. Just the hum of the air conditioner. The next morning at breakfast, Jenny looked terrible. She had dark circles under her eyes. Mike looked angry. "Did you guys sleep okay?" Sarah asked. Jenny shook her head. "We saw something last night. Only in our room." Sarah's stomach dropped. "What did you see?" "A black shadow," Mike said quietly. He looked around to make sure no one else could hear. It moved across the wall, fast, like a person running. But there was no one there. "And we heard voices," Jenny added, whispering. We couldn't understand the words, but it sounded like two people talking, right by our bed. Maya's eyes got wide. She looked at Sarah. "Did anything happen in our room?" Sarah didn't want to say it, but she had to. "I saw a face. In the bathroom mirror, a man's face. Right next to mine." They all sat there, not eating, not talking, just looking at each other. "We need to change rooms," Jenny finally said. But when they asked at the front desk, the man said the hotel was completely full. Every single room was taken. They were stuck there for 2 more nights. And that's when Sarah noticed it. Right outside the hotel's front door, a tall statue with 4 faces looking in 4 directions. A Buddha statue. She wondered why it was there. They decided to stick together that second night. All 4 of them crammed into Sarah's room. Safety in numbers, right? They pushed the 2 beds together and sat there talking, trying to stay awake as long as possible. None of them wanted to sleep. Around midnight, they heard it. A doorbell, not the phone. An actual doorbell sound, like someone was at their door. Then, clear as anything, children laughing, high and happy like kids playing tag in the hallway. Mike jumped up and ran to the door. He looked through the peephole. "There's no one there," he said. The doorbell rang again. More laughter, louder this time. Mike yanked the door open. The hallway was empty. So those dim orange lights stretched down both sides. Not a single person anywhere. The doors on either side were closed, silent. He slammed the door shut and locked it. "This is insane." They sat back down on the beds. Jenny was crying now. "I want to leave. I don't care if we lose our money. I want to leave right now." Then the bed started shaking. Not like someone bumping it, not like the building settling. The whole bed was vibrating, like an earthquake, but nothing else in the room was moving. Just the bed they were sitting on. Sarah screamed. They all jumped off and backed against the wall. The bed kept shaking for 5 more seconds. Then it stopped. Just like that. Completely stilled. "Get out," Maya said. "We're getting out right now." They grabbed their bags, didn't even pack them properly, just threw everything in. Sarah's hands were shaking so hard she could barely zip her suitcase. They ran to the elevator and pressed the button over and over. When the doors finally opened, they rode down to the lobby. It was 1 in the morning. The night desk man looked surprised to see them. "We need different rooms," Sarah said. "Right now. I don't care what floor. I don't care what it costs. We need different rooms." The man looked at his computer. "I'm sorry. The hotel is full. Every room is..." "No," Jenny said. She was still crying. "You don't understand. We can't stay in those rooms. We just can't." The man stared at them, at their pale faces, their shaking hands, their half-packed bags. Something changed in his expression, like he understood, like maybe he'd heard this before. "Wait here," he said quietly. He picked up the phone and spoke in Thai. It was quick and low. 5 minutes later, he hung up. "We have 2 rooms on the second floor. They just became available. Sarah didn't ask how, she didn't care. They took the new key cards and went to the second floor. The rooms there felt different. The lights were brighter. White lights, not orange. The air didn't feel heavy. They could breathe normally. Sarah and Maya collapsed on their new beds, but Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about those corner rooms on the 6th floor. About that face in the mirror. About the children laughing at an empty door. Why did those rooms feel so wrong? The next morning they met their tour guide. His name was Sam, and he'd been showing tourists around Bangkok for 10 years. When they told him which hotel they were staying at, his smile disappeared. Asia Hotel? He asked. Oh, you're at Asia Hotel? They nodded. He looked worried. Did anything happen to you there? They told him everything. The face in the mirror, the black shadows, the children's laughter, the shaking bed, how they had to move rooms in the middle of the night. Som didn't look surprised. He looked sad. That hotel, it has a history. A long time ago there was a fire. A famous actress and her daughter died there. People say they never left. Sarah felt cold. The hotel told us the rooms just became available. But the hotel was full. How did the 2 rooms suddenly open up? Som shook his head. Those weren't guest rooms. Those were rooms they don't usually rent. Special rooms. Corner rooms. The ones where people report things happening. Why would they give us those rooms? Maya asked. Because you asked to stay there. Som said simply. When you booked the hotel, you probably insisted on staying at that exact place. They tried to tell you it was full, but you pushed. So they gave you the only rooms they had left. The rooms they keep for last. Sarah remembered now. The booking site had said the hotel was full, but she'd called directly. She'd begged. She told them it was their first trip and they really needed to stay near the train station. The manager had finally said, okay, they had 2 rooms available, the rooms no one else wanted. That Buddha statue outside, Sarah said, the one with 4 faces, why is it there? Sam nodded. They put it there years ago to protect the hotel, to calm the spirits. Our tour guide told me it's supposed to help. But I guess... He looked at them. I guess it doesn't always work. They didn't stay at that hotel the 3rd night. They moved to a bright, modern place near the river. It cost twice as much, but Sarah didn't care. She needed lights, lots of lights, and people, lots of people. On their last day in Bangkok, they walked past Asia Hotel one more time. It looked normal in the daylight. Just an old budget hotel with good prices and a great location. Tourists were going in and out, pulling suitcases, looking at maps. None of them knew. None of them could feel what Sarah felt. She saw the Buddha statue by the door. 4 faces watching in 4 directions, protecting the hotel, or trying to. Sarah took one last look at the 6th floor, at those corner windows at the very end. The orange lights were on inside, even though it was daytime. She thought about all the other tourists who would book those rooms, who would ignore that dusty smell, who would brush off that heavy feeling in the air, who would tell themselves they were just tired when they saw something they couldn't explain. She wanted to warn them. But how do you warn someone about something they have to feel for themselves? Something they won't believe until it's too late? The warning signs were all there. The dim lights that shouldn't be dim, the smell that shouldn't be there, the feeling of pressure when you walk through the door, the sense that something is watching you. All of it was screaming, leave, don't stay here, get out while you can. But most people don't listen to those warnings. They tell themselves they're being silly. They paid good money for this room. They're not going to waste it on some weird feeling. Sarah knows better now. When a hotel room feels wrong, it probably is wrong. When every instinct tells you to leave, you should leave, because some rooms in some hotels aren't meant for the living. And in Bangkok, at a certain budget hotel near the train station, those corner rooms on the 6th floor are still waiting, still available for anyone brave enough or foolish enough to book them. The question isn't whether the ghosts are real. The question is, will you recognize the warning signs before it's too late?